Hey y'all, hey everybody, hi, how you doing? It's me, Mo here, and today's video is going to be a little bit of a departure. It's going to be a personal story that I didn't plan on telling. To be honest, I really hoped I would just not have to talk about this. But recent events, bullying, attacks on my character have made me feel the need to put this story out there. So, my plan for this video is just to tell you what happened, to put this out there, and other than putting in screenshots when necessary, I don't plan on editing this video much. Well, I said I wasn't going to edit it, but an important thing is I have PTSD, and that's the reason why I have fibromyalgia. So while things are happening, I'm okay, but when things settle down after whatever the crisis is, and this was very much a crisis for me 2 weeks ago, when I get calm, that's when the effects set in. And while I was fine, mostly fine, when this all went on 2 weeks ago, I'm not fine now. I have been struggling a lot with PTSD, anxiety, way worse than they have been since right before things got really bad last year. And one of the reasons why I had to do this video, talk through what happened and just put it out there, because the silence is what triggers my PTSD and make it worse. So to try and heal and to try and prevent myself from going to that dark place that I was last year, that's why I'm putting this out there. So let's see, where do I start? On January 3rd, 2020, I got fired from my job at the resort. I had some people use stuff I had posted online to attack me in real life. These were people who had previously made up things about me to attack me, to try and turn my mother against me, to turn people against me, to have people who support me withdraw their support, to isolate me. And it is my belief they were trying to cause me to have some sort of breakdown, some sort of break. I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's how 2020 started, and then we got the pandemic. And between my unemployment, my food insecurity, my asthma being out of control, it was tough. It was tough. But I found a community online that was really supportive. I really liked it there. I was trying to get my YouTube channel monetized. I was doing a lot. I was really trying to really do a lot just to survive in the pandemic. And of course, I creeped into burnout. Eventually, I became a mod on the community and I creeped into burnout. And in 2021, I had to take a step back from the community. I had a lot of things happen to me in my real life, and just like processing everything with that, my chronic illness, my medications, and everything, it was all too much. And I like took a little break, and I just had to figure out a way to heal, a way to find a way to heal, because I didn't trust that doctors would be able to do it for me, at least not the doctors that I had access to here in St. Lucia. And y'all, somehow I made it through. I feel stronger. I found ways to process, and I came back. I came back to the internet. And one of the key things for me is that I began to accept that I was most likely autistic, and I had to figure out a way to process it. So I wrote this article, and just to process my feelings, like, was the main reason why I wrote the article. And I talked about different experiences in my life and my reaction to those experiences and people's reaction to me, and how all of that meant I was most likely autistic. I talk about this online community in my article because the way they treated me was a big part in me realizing that I was most likely autistic. So I have this blog. It's notterminal.wordpress.com. It is where I use it kind of like as a journal. It's not private, and I just dump stuff on there sometimes, just stuff I'm trying to process. So you know what, if y'all are watching this, the haters and the bullies, y'all can go watch over there and use that to further villainize me. Go right ahead. So originally I was just going to write what I wrote about, just like processing that on that blog. But then I thought, someone else out there might be going through the same thing, because black people from the diaspora, black people from the global south, it's real. Our lack of access and how difficult it is to be recognized, to be diagnosed as autistic. Me? Yeah, that's not really in my ministry, as they say. Like, y'all, to get allergy tested, I had to fly to another country, and my life was at stake. So anyways, I just thought if the article could reach a wider audience than the 0 people who read my chronic illness blog, then maybe it might help someone. So I reached out to Neuroclastic. It's an excellent site. Like, it really helped me start healing, start processing what I was going through. And I reached out to them. I was like, hey, I wrote this article, are you interested in this? And they were like, what? Yes, oh my god, yes. And I just felt so validated after the past couple of years of me saying what I was going through and people not believing me, invalidating my experiences. To have somebody just be so excited, and it's hard to explain, y'all. So they published the article went up, and autistic people were just like, welcome to our community, we see you, we believe you. And it meant so much to me. And I was just like, wow. It just felt like, I mattered, my life mattered. And after everything I had been through, and I was just like, wow. It just made it worth it, So the following day, they posted it late that night, and the following afternoon, one of the mods from that community slid into my DMs and had a conversation with me. And y'all, it snowballed from there. It snowballed. So Okay. I had planned to tell all about the community before we got to that. And so my brain is doing, do I tell you about the community now? Do I tell you about the DMs? And then go back. Okay, let's look at the DMs. After the DMs, and then I'll go back and talk about my experience in that community and how that all affected me. So let's look at the DMs. So certain mod slid into DMs and said, I have a question about your new article. You don't have to answer if you don't feel comfortable. Was the self-diagnosed person in the community blank? And I said, no. Okay, a few people from the community have been asking the mods if we know what this is about, but there aren't any white self-diagnosed mods, and the only trans masculine person in the entire server has been kicked out for more than a year. We can just not reply to messages at all if you want, by the way. To which I replied, the mods can say they don't know if they don't know. If someone has a question about my article, my DMs are not closed. Then this mod said, before you left, you said not to contact you at all, and didn't say that it was okay to contact you again yet, so nobody else really feels comfortable coming into your DMs right now. They're still respecting the boundary that you drew. So I said, where did I say that? They responded in Signal and on Discord in January last year, to which I responded, well, they are open now. And that was the end of the conversation. We can address, I could pick this over, but you know what? Whatever. That was the end of the conversation. They didn't see anything else. No one messaged me about it. I then noticed that mods who had said they were going to be off social media because a member of the community who happened to be one of my patrons on Patreon and I considered a friend had recently passed away suddenly. So they said they were not going to be on social media. Started tweeting voraciously about people referring to them as trans masculine, about people blaming trans people for things. And I was a little suspicious because I had come under attack from a different trans person on Twitter being called anti-trans and transphobic for calling out a reporter who was lying. I made a whole video about it. I did not know she was trans. And it is common for white people in the LGBT community to call black people anti-LGBTQ to escape accountability. It happens. So I made a video about it. I made a video about some other things because white people like to play the victim and paint a black person as the aggressor. That's what they do. That's what they do when you try to hold them accountable. That's what they do. So, since that happened, a very close friend of mine who was also a member of the community and one of the few people I kept in contact with when I was going through my really difficult time, I let her know that I had published the article. I let her know that she was under no obligation to read the article because I do talk about some really heavy things. But I just let her know in case there was any fallout. And she was busy. She was busy that day. I just let her know. She still didn't read the article. She said she wasn't in a place where she wanted to read something heavy. Later that day, she was kicked out of the community. After they had asked her several questions about the article, which she couldn't answer because she didn't know, they kicked her out of the community. At which point I was like, oh well. The following day, I realized I hadn't done my weekly Patreon post, and I went into Patreon, and I noticed that a patron of mine was gone, deleted their pledge. At which point I said, let me address this, because I've seen tweets that may be responding to me. I saw a tweet about someone coming out of the woodwork to exploit people in their grief and a lot of other stuff. But let me tell you, if you subtweet me when I said my DMs are open and you didn't talk to me, I don't care. I'm not actually, first of all, I'm not going to even think you're talking about me. But when my friend was kicked out of the community, I was like, maybe they're talking about me, but they didn't say they were talking about me, so I don't care. And they didn't block me or anything, so whatever. And then when my patron deleted their pledge, someone who didn't delete their pledge in the months where I was incommunicado, I was like, I'm gonna address this. So I think the first people who deserve this to be addressed is my patrons. So I wrote a long post on Patreon, and I said, if anyone had any questions, feel free to message me. Fine. I then did a notes app post that I put across all my social media, and I said if anyone had any questions, they could message me. To this date, not one person has messaged me. I did message certain people that I was still in contact with privately, just to see like if they had questions, because I had still been talking to them. Other people who were peripheral to the situation may have had various things happen to them. I'm not going to talk on that. I'm only going to talk on what I personally experienced. So following that, I lost a few more patrons. It's fine. I don't get to tell you how to spend your money. It's fine. I wish you well. And sorry about the burps, they're staying in. If you've been here, I burp. I have digestive issues. It happens. So I lost some patrons. Fine. No one's messaging me. Fine. People who I had been in conversations with, who were members of the community, prior to that, I reached out. Nope, they're not answering me. Nothing. This black person does not get any grace. That's fine. It's fine. And then a member of the community used an email address that she'd forgotten people knew was associated with her to log into my Patreon, become a patron. And previously my Patreon was not set up to charge you immediately. You can choose whether or not to charge people immediately or charge them on the first of the following month. And I wanted to charge people on the first of the following month. That way they had whatever part of the month that they joined in to decide if this was a place they wanted to be, if they were getting value for their money. So this person came in, did a pledge, stayed for all of 8 minutes, and deleted the pledge. And I want that person to know, I know who you are. If you had questions, you could have DM'd me. I would have answered. But right now, at this moment, I will never speak to you again. Anyways, at that point, I have to admit, I was a little afraid for my safety. And a lot of the reason why I really was not doing well last year for most of 2021 is that I did not feel safe anywhere. Online, in person, I did not feel safe. I did not feel safe because people kept telling me who I am is wrong. They kept telling me the way I speak to people is wrong. They never gave any details of what it was that was wrong about me. And this is something that people do to autistic people all the time. Once I understood that, it made it easier for me to just stand in my truth and stand in my power. And that's what I wrote about in the article. You can read it for yourself. So, all of that being said, let's talk about the community. I am aware that they have painted me as transphobic without any proof, without any specific details. They have said my actions are transphobic. I want to know if it's my mere existence that is transphobic. Let's talk about the community. Let's talk. So, one of the big things that really affected me towards the end of 2020 was just actions that were not adding up. And the thing about my autistic brain is that it picks up on patterns. And sometimes it picks up on patterns long before I can articulate what it is my brain is telling me. You can call it a sixth sense, you can call it whatever it is. And so I was picking up on various patterns of problematic behavior by white women in a community that said it didn't center on white women's needs. It didn't center on white people's needs. It catered to the needs of the black members of the community. It was actively anti-racist. I saw them time after time prioritize white people. And I had trouble figuring out a way to articulate that without people becoming defensive. There were numerous instances of white women being problematic. When you would call them out, some certain people, specifically the person who made the fake Patreon account, were very quick to say, let's not pile on. It's always pile on when you're holding a white person accountable. Once I became a member of the mod squad, after a certain white woman that I knew was problematic for a while proved to everyone that she was problematic, they made me a member of mod squad. And it was great until a certain day. So people in the community were very generous. They would come into my live streams. It's very loud outside. It's what we live in. They would come into my live streams and I would talk about things that just happened to be a part of my life. They just seem normal for me, you know? And people would be like I would be like, I have one powder. No big deal. I'm fine with having one face powder. But they'd be like, well, Mo, we have this stuff. You might be able to use it. Would you like it? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. So they would send me stuff. During the time I was part of the community, I raised funds to buy an air conditioning unit because of my asthma. Air conditioning is the only thing that helps. Most of the money I raised for my air conditioner were not members of the community. The members of the community did boost my campaign. Some of them did donate. I'm not saying I would have my AC without them, but that happened. I was able to raise $300 in a few days. I did not expect that to happen. It happened. Yay, go me. A friend of mine who was a friend before the community started, who joined the community because of me, who was a patron of mine, had been meaning to send me a package. This friend sent me the package and said, will you please open it on stream so I can see? I was like really shocked. I opened the package on stream. Everyone seemed really happy for me to like finally have certain things that I didn't have access to. And they wanted to send me more stuff. So people would send me stuff. And members of the community would be like, can you wait to open the package until I can come watch the stream? Like, it was a thing, me opening packages on stream. Once or twice, a couple of other people got packages on stream. And maybe they opened it. I know like someone got a package while I was on live and they opened their package on my stream, but it wasn't like a thing for other people to do. I was one of the people really pushing to try to get monetized on Twitch, try to get monetized on YouTube. I was really like overdoing it. So there was like a whole bunch of rules in Mod Squad that we had to vet people, make sure they're not racist, check their social media, discuss before we let a new person on, that sort of thing. A whole bunch of stuff. That's what would happen in Mod Squad. But there was also like Mod Squad off of Discord to just talk and shoot the shit and like other stuff. Quite a few things happened that I could talk about. One of the things about Mod Squad was a lot of them were night owls and I was not a night owl. So I would wake up to having to catch up to a lot of stuff happening while I was asleep, which was fine. And one morning I woke up to them having had a meeting in the night, which they said was in response to one of the members messaging one of the mods about something that had happened. Someone in the group had said they didn't have access to fresh food. Most of their meals came from a can, their vegetables, everything. And members of the group, they hadn't said that like asking for anything. It was just their life. Like sometimes you say things, it's just your thing, like you just do that. Like you don't even know that most people don't live that way. And other people in the group said they wanted to help. They were like, where can we send you gift cards for groceries, etc. So somehow in response to that, someone from the group had messaged a mod accusing the mods of favoritism. I was not part of that meeting. I did not see any screenshots of the message. I still am confused as to what happened. But in response to that, they had proposed a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of rules that and announcements they were going to make. And one of the rules was that people should not open gifts on stream, which completely broke my heart, because I grew up in a place where members of my family, were jealous of everything I had, which wasn't much. When people would come from overseas, if my cousins got 5 things, very often I would get 1. The person with the 5 things would be jealous of my 1 thing. They would be encouraged by their parents. The parents would be jealous for them. It's a trauma I'd like to not revisit right now. But it's a trauma I do not want grown adults to put on me. So I explained to them how that rule made the person who was jealous of what I received, first of all, that rule seemed like it targeted me since I was the main person opening gifts on stream. That rule made the person who was jealous of the things I received more important. Their feelings were more important than my feelings. Most of the things I received was food because of my allergies that I do not have access to here. Like, I didn't even know they existed. Most of it was food. Most of the stuff I got was either food or makeup. Makeup because my friends wanted to share makeup that I didn't have access to with me. Because the community was built around a love of makeup. And food that people just wanted me to like have different foods to try out, and because I used to do cooking videos on my channel. Anyways, I felt targeted by that one, and I expressed to the mods how it wasn't fair to me, and I wasn't going to stop opening gifts on stream because it made people happy to see me open the gifts. And then another person said, someone had come to them and say, why does this person get everything when I don't have X? And I'm like, who is it? This is how we deal with things in Mod Squad. We say, who is it? And exactly what they said. Can you show some screenshots? Screenshots were never shown. But this mod swore the person said they needed things too, and people were not helping them when they hadn't articulated that they needed things. So my mind, I was like, I could not wrap my head around all of these things. So I pushed it to the back of my head and I continued to move on. The same friend who sent me the giant package, another person had recently moved to the Midwest. They didn't have a winter coat. That person was also a mod. I told my friend, do you have an extra coat? You or your husband, do you have an extra coat that you can send this person so they can have something warm? Because when February rolls around and you're not from a cold place, you get to learn what cold really is, and you need a coat. And I can't buy them a coat because I can't afford them a coat. I can't afford a coat, but I know someone who lives in a cold place might have an extra coat and wouldn't mind shipping that coat. Said friend was like, what else do they need? I was like, well, maybe like some warm pairs of leggings. That might be useful. Said friend wanted to send them 20 pairs of leggings, but this person always says they're overwhelmed by too many things. So I said, don't send them too much. You don't want them to be overwhelmed. You don't want to send them like stuff they don't have space to store. Start off small and maybe you can send more later. Said friend sent many boxes. When that mod received the box, even though after the rule that didn't become the rule, I was the only person who ever continued opening gifts on stream. All the other mods completely stopped opening gifts on their live streams on their various platforms, but they would show us in Mod Squad. That person never actually showed us everything they got. They did show us some of the things they got, but they never actually showed us everything, and they showed in bits here and bits there, and I thought, they're tired, they're overwhelmed, okay, whatever. So that was the gifts thing. And after that, I was really, really suspicious. Not like overwhelmingly suspicious, but between that and other things that happened, I was really anxious to stay a part of the community. So I kind of stepped back from the community because I was going through medicine changes that was affecting like my mental acuity, and it was actually making me anxious, and the community was making me anxious. So I stepped back from the community, but I was still part of the group chat on Signal. So one morning in Signal, we woke up to someone who wasn't a mod, but who they had added to the group chat, who is the same person who came to my Patreon with the fake account came in saying X person from the community, she thinks they may have COVID. They went to their doctor. The doctor didn't give them a test and they're still sick. They need to get tested. So the other black person on the mod, I'm sorry that now y'all know who, but you know what? If there were more black people, y'all will not know who when I say the other black person. Came in, said something to, this is what happens when people don't help themselves or something like that. Which apparently I misunderstood because this person was talking about poor people in rural America. I thought she was talking about the specific person who did not take steps to get tested outside of her doctor's office, who had previously made comments about things that were affecting her problems, and then not done anything to change the thing that was affecting her. In Mod Squad, in Discord, we had previously discussed that she did this, she did that. She said X might be a problem, but then she didn't want to do this. She said certain things, and she didn't want to go find the resources to find out if that was, it was a long thing. I don't want to talk too much about the specifics of it, but it was a thing. So I agreed with the person. And then everyone came for us. I said that this person should be able to figure out where else she can get tested for COVID. We're over a year into the pandemic. And they were defending her. I said, they're telling me I don't understand. I said, I'm not sure if it was her, but I know someone in the community did say their nearest testing center was in the other state. As an adult, you should be able to figure out where you can get tested and then figure out what you need to go get tested at that place. If you need money for gas, if you need money to pay for the test, whatever it is, let the people in the community know what else it is you need to go tested in the other place, and then they can help you. They were like, you don't understand what it's like to live in rural America, to have no access. You don't understand what it's like to have no access. Blah, diddy, blah, blah, diddy, blah, blah, diddy, blah. I was like, it went back and forth. I was like, I need to step away from this conversation. They just kept coming. They didn't want us to pile on this person in the Discord, but it was fine for all the white people in the group to be against the two black people. That was fine. They were fine with that. So I just stepped away. Came back the following day. Several people apologized. I kind of tried to explain to them where I was coming from, how as black people we're expected to be able to do those sort of things for ourselves. Things that we are expected to be able to do for ourselves, people excuse white people not being able to do it, particularly white women. But then I also said I did recognize that my anxiety was playing into this. People were saying things, and I told them I did go into a defense when they just immediately said I don't know what it is to be in rural white America, because rural America because rural America is often code for white people. That if you're going to argue with me that rural America is not code for white people, I do not want to have a conversation with you, honestly. So the person who started the whole thing, who also came into my Patreon with the fake Patreon, said, oh, in my state we have lots of Somalis in the rural area. If you don't know what the problem with that is, whatever. Another person said, my black boyfriend doesn't do things for himself. If you don't know what the problem with that is, some other things were said. I was called mean. I felt all of my experiences invalidated. I felt the fact that when I did go to rural America with my white friends, that I always had to know where the nearest hospital was because of my chronic illnesses. I had to know how far away the medical care was. That I have been to towns whose main street has 3 buildings, one of which is a post office, one of which is a general store. I have been to towns where the only place to buy everything is one place at the general store. I have been all over America, including the Midwest. I have been places most Americans have not been, and people in the group knew that. People in the group who were lecturing me about not having access know that I live in rural Caribbean small island. And oh, Lord Jesus, it was a lot for me, to be honest. But I thought, they were making steps towards changing their behavior. Let's see how it went, At that time, I was experiencing a lot of stuff in my personal life that they knew about. So then a few weeks after that, something happened in my personal life that completely broke me. I was already in a lot of pain. It was a lot. It broke me. I just couldn't. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't. So I didn't because I wanted to stay alive. And staying alive is hard when you can't even feed yourself. I was making myself food to eat, laying down on the bed next to the plate, crying through feeding myself because I was in so much pain. Not knowing how to reach out to people to help me because it felt like the world was against me. And eventually I started feeling better. I started posting after several months. I posted to my YouTube channel. That was the most important thing to me because I didn't want my channel to go dormant and to lose monetization on YouTube, since that and Patreon were my only sources of income. I then, like a week or so after posting on my YouTube channel, I went into another person's live and I said hi. There were several people in the community there. They all said hi back to me, including the mod who we saw the DMs at the beginning of this and I said not to contact me in January. I went into the chat. I said, hey, it's the ghost of Mo. I haven't been doing well because medications, blah, blah, blah. But y'all, I'm back. And I felt welcomed back. I started popping into lives here and there. I noticed in the time I was gone, a lot of the channels were not really doing what they were doing before, but I was still feeling extremely overwhelmed and not in the best place. I was just trying my best. Eventually I popped into the community and I saw an error message and my brain was like, I cannot deal with this. So I just X'd out. When I was feeling stronger, I popped into the community. I noticed I no longer had access to the mod channels. I was a little miffed. I was like, but you know what? It's not my community. They can do whatever they want. They didn't kick me out. So I just poked around a little bit. I popped in a few more times, poked around a little bit just to see who was still there, who was active. It didn't seem very active at the time. I went into my own Discord, which all of those people were part of my Discord. And I would post there occasionally. People were not really participating. That was fine. People get to do whatever they want. So when I was feeling better, I took some time. I saw that my videos were not actually being posted in the community like they were before, and I was like, interesting. Then one day I really went in and took some time, and I saw like there was like new announcements, a new bot and whatever. So I thought my videos were not posting because of the new bot, and they just hadn't added it. After all, I went months without posting new videos. And then I noticed a rule about not posting anything fitness related, diet related, and I know several members of the community and on the mod squad actually have like eating related issues, and the way the rule was phrased, it made me feel as though my very presence as a yoga instructor would possibly trigger people and their eating issues. And I had also noticed that like people in the mod squad had been ignoring me when I went into chats, coming into the chat and greeting everyone by name except me. And so between the way I was being given the mean girl silent treatment and that rule, I thought my presence in the community wasn't the best for other people. And so I hadn't been there for a while, so I might as well just go. I didn't make a fuss because leave server is really easy. Leave server. I was a member of other communities of like other creators that I like followed and stuff, but y'all, Discord is overwhelming to me. So a few months later, I decided to just like get off Discord completely. So I put an announcement in my Discord that I was deleting my Discord. And then like a week later, I deleted like my Discord server, and then I deleted my account completely. I was like, I don't like Discord. I'm done. Okay. So I deleted Discord. But all of the people on social media, I still followed them. They still followed me. I saw their posts. I would interact with their posts occasionally. They didn't interact with my posts. So noticing like how they were treating me in chats, it was becoming very obvious. Like I would pop into a chat, I would look for a while, they wouldn't say anything, 10-20 minutes would pass, they wouldn't like, sometimes I wouldn't even know they were there, but I would just like chill and just see what was going. The minute I said anything, they would get very active in the chat and talk around me, and that was making me uncomfortable. So I unfollowed them on social media. They were not interacting with me, and what's the point? I didn't unfollow the particular mod who came into my DMs because they were still interacting with me when I would interact with them on social media. Other people, when I had interacted on their social media, had just completely ignored it. That was fine. It's your page. You do what you want. I had noticed though that that particular person would have posted about being live on Twitch, and I would have been on Twitch at the same time and not seen that they were live, and I was like, that's interesting. But I hadn't thought much of it because, to be honest, I spend most of my days in bed in pain, just trying to stay alive. I did find out after this whole thing happened that I actually had been blocked in their chat. I realized that eventually, so that's that. So all of that had happened, you know. The friend that got kicked out of the chat, of the group after my article was released, I had been in contact with her like at my very lowest and had been like, I'm not okay. And she's like, will you be coming back? And I said, yes, I'll be coming back. And to my knowledge, she conveyed that I was okay. I really was not, like, I wasn't okay. I really could not like be communicating with people right now, but like I'd be back. I cannot tell you what exactly she said to them. I wasn't there. That's not my ministry. So that's what happened with the community. I didn't feel like I belonged there anymore. I felt that my presence there would trigger people's eating, diet, body issues just by virtue of me being a yoga instructor. So I left quietly. I wrote the article because I needed to figure out a way to process my feelings. I needed to figure out a way to accept myself as I am and to feel strong again. I published it in Neuroclastic because I wanted to help other people who may be going through the same thing. I lost 2 very, very close friends last year, and it was really hard for me to keep going on after that. But I promised myself that I would do everything I could to stay alive and to not give up, because the children in my life don't need the trauma of me giving up. And so I did that. And those people have turned around. They have looked at my truth. They have looked at me sharing my struggles. Me saying that I actually did plan to take my own life, and they have decided in response to that to bully me and to withdraw any support that I may have. They have turned people against me for the simple fact that they have supported me. It's made me question everything they ever said to me, whether or not it was true, whether or not they even ever liked me. I'm sad for the people who decided to listen to their side of the story and to not even engage with me on my side of the story. I'm sad that they just painted me as transphobic, and no one ever said, when was she transphobic, where was she transphobic. If I was so transphobic, how is it that I just left the community quietly and y'all didn't kick me out? They have painted the whole situation I told you about that one person and the COVID thing as me thinking the person was taking resources away from me. That is not true. I just wanted her to woman the fuck up, be a grown up, and do things for herself. That's what I wanted. Because the mods were taking on too much responsibility. We're not parents as mods. That's not your job. But you know what? We can talk about this for a long time. So here I am telling y'all my truth. Telling y'all what happened. There's a lot I can say about the toxicity and, to be honest, the anti-blackness of the mods. I can talk about how some of the mods think they're so leftist and so woke, but they don't even realize when they're repeating right-wing talking points. I don't care to expose them. I don't care about that. I was never planning on exposing them, on talking about all of the things that went down in Mod Squad. I know there are things that happened after I left that I don't know about, because 2 of the mods have completely disappeared from the internet. And that's their ministry, that's their story to tell. But you know what? If people are going to go around telling lies about me, bullying me online, insinuating that I threaten their safety, well, I figured I might as well tell you my side of the story. And so, that's what happened. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I would say you can ask me any questions you can have, but to be honest, I don't know that I have the energy to answer it. But I can tell you, in that community, I have seen the mods repeatedly treat black people differently than white people, extend grace to white people, particularly white LGBTQ people, that is never extended to Black people. And I'm sorry, I am unapologetically Black, and I will fight anti-Blackness every single place I see it. I have been fighting it ever since I was in college in 2003. I saw things there that opened my eyes. I read books, I read peer-reviewed journals, because nowhere has racism, discrimination been studied than in higher education in the US. And I have read a lot of it. And I've been fighting it for a long time. I've been fighting it since some of the people who were trying to paint me as the bad guy were in diapers. And I am not going to compromise to make other people feel comfortable. I'm not going to sit back and let people walk all over me. I may be poor right now. I may not have much, but I'll defend what I have. And what I have is this space where I get to talk about what I want, which these days is calling out anti-Blackness where I see it. And if someone has a problem with that and want to insinuate that my new content is triggering, which is why they removed it from the community, but they don't say what about my new content is triggering or how it is triggering, then we can only assume that me talking about Blackness unapologetically, me continually calling out racism where I see it, is triggering you because you're a racist. Bye, y'all.